Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Panda Tower. Today I wanted to do a short question and answer special since we have now hit 4,000 subscribers on this channel. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. I mean, there's nothing significant about the number 4,000, but I just wanted to make something cool, something different. So this question and answer section is just gonna be a laid back talk with you guys. I didn't script anything. You guys left me a few questions for me to answer, and some of them are really cool actually. And please forgive me if I don't answer your specific question, because some of these questions overlap, and well, I'm gonna answer as many as I can. So if I didn't get to your specific question, I'm sorry. Hopefully I can get it in another time. Thanks for joining me, guys. I won't be putting up a lot of video in this section, so you can put some headphones and listen to this for a bit. You can go take a walk, or you can go, I don't know, jack off to my voice. There is no judgment. I'm just kidding. You don't do that. Now, let's get to it. First question. What were the things you loved most about being a Jehovah's Witness? Well, I would say one of the positives is feeling like an international community that you have. Even though, friendships in the Jehovah's Witness communities can't be too deep, because everyone's indoctrinated. But I do appreciate that this organization allowed me to open up my mind to other cultures, to other countries. And it was actually this experience of getting out of my comfort zone, out of my bubble, to quote unquote serve as a need grader that ultimately allowed me to leave the religion, the life inside this religion. It allowed me to become aware of people outside of my own country. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for my upbringing. It was very peaceful. I don't know how much of that really has to do with the religion itself, or if it was just that my parents were lovely people. There's no way to separate the two, but I can't complain in that sense. So I had a very peaceful upbringing, and yeah, being in this religion helped me to be aware of other cultures. It wasn't completely closed. Now, what were some things that you hated most about being a witness? Definitely that sense of superiority, like feeling superior because you have the truth. That definitely is not good growing up, because it hinders you from forming friendships with other people. And yeah, I definitely missed out on a lot of things, like in my middle school and high school years. Some probably beautiful friendships that I could have formed if it wasn't for the religion. So that's definitely a very big negative. Also, the sexual repression that this religion puts you in is really, really negative. It brought a lot of anxiety on my young mind, and I'm sure that's the case with a lot of people. This religion doesn't know how to talk about sex, and it doesn't teach parents how to do it. So yeah, growing up, you feel confused and repressed, and you don't have the liberty to really express your grow up in a healthy manner in that aspect. So yeah, that's definitely very harmful to people. So yeah, I mean, I would say those are two big negatives that come to my mind. Of course, there are many others, but I would say that, I mean, ultimately they were more good than bad things. But again, that's because my parents were very lovely, and I know that's not the experience with a lot of people. So that's just my 2 coins. Question number 2. What advice would you give to someone who is just waking up from the Borg? My best advice is to take it easy. Yeah, to take a deep breath. If you happen to be watching and you're like barely waking up from this religion, barely having doubts and investigating, my best advice is to take a deep breath, relax. The world is not ending. The world is not ending, so you have all the time in the world to do your research. Okay, don't try to do everything at once. It takes time to really accept the fact that you were brought up in a lie. It's something that is not true, and it takes time to accept that and come to grips with it. So yeah, that's my best advice. Do a lot of research, have patience with yourself, have patience with your family too. They might be more accepting or not of your changes. But yeah, just take it easy, please. Don't go too fast. That's my advice. Question number 3. My waking up story. Well, that's a long topic, and I'm currently working on a memoir to really put into paper all the nuances and every single little factor that contributed to my leaving, because my faith died through 1,000 cuts. There wasn't a single event that just brought it all down. It took me months to wake up from this religion, and it was several factors. I mean, first of all, I started having doubts about the Bible itself. Maybe you remember that the Watchtower encouraged you to like print out this schedule on their website, and they would show you how to read the Bible in 1 year. So yeah, if you follow the schedule every year, you would finish the Bible in 1 year. So I actually printed the thing out, and I actually finished the Bible. And yeah, a lot of the things in the Bible really shaped my faith, especially when it comes to God's behavior, his character, how he reacted to David's sin, like the story of David taking the census and God killing, like, I think it was 170,000 people. That was a really bad story. Also, a lot of stories in the book of Judges and the book of Joshua that just really upset my stomach when I read them. And it's stories that you do not find usually in the publications. It's something you need to go to the Bible itself to read. That was the biggest doubt, I would say. It started with that. Also, I just learned more and more about anthropology, about science, archaeology, and I came to realize that the evidence that we have from archaeology contradicts a lot of the Bible's claims. So there was definitely a lot of cognitive dissonance, having this fundamentalist view of the Bible, this very literal view, and also learning all these fascinating things about evolution and archaeology. It really opened up my mind. Another big factor was coming into contact in the ministry. While I was preaching, I came into contact with a evangelical pastor. Yeah, it was this guy. This was in my college years, and he really knew his stuff. He really knew his Bible, and he helped me to see that the New World Translation was a really bad translation of the Bible, and he showed me how the Watchtower would corrupt certain Bible verses. This was a very lovely person, and he's probably still very religious, but definitely having conversations with him helped me to see the own flaws in my own religion instead of just seeing the flaws in other versions of Christianity. And also another big factor that I'm gonna mention is just seeing and interacting with worldly people. As I mentioned before, something I appreciate from being brought up in the religion is that I was aware of other cultures, and I took a need grading trip, a preaching trip, missionary trip, whatever you want to call it, to Thailand. And being in a Buddhist country really changed my perspective, because I would see that Buddhist people were very lovely and they had no concept of God that as I understood him, and it really rocked my faith, and I couldn't conceive of the idea of God killing all these lovely people simply because they weren't from my religion. So there's a lot of different factors that went into play here. Maybe you can sympathize with some of them. Maybe I'll do a video on my full waking up story later. There's a lot of nuance, a lot of things worth mentioning, but yeah, those are the 4 main factors, I would say. It took a long time to wake up. Next question: do you lean towards atheism now? Yes. I am what you would consider an agnostic atheist. I know in one of my videos I mentioned that I believed in a creator. I think I should have been more specific there. I believe in God, but when I say God, I really mean God in the most loose sense you can imagine. Like, more like God is in everywhere and everyone. When I imagine God, it's not like a judge in the sky like the Christian conception of him. It's more like a more transcendent being, But by all practical means, that belief doesn't really affect my life anymore. So yeah, I'm pretty much an agnostic atheist. Could there be something out there? Yeah, yeah, but I simply have not found any evidence for that. And yeah, that's it. I do appreciate a lot of Buddhist teachings, like the concept of letting go of your desires in order to achieve happiness. I think that's very valuable and very practical in some cases. Of course, I don't believe in reincarnation, so I wouldn't call myself a Buddhist, but I do value a lot of Buddhist teachings, so I, I'm not completely non-spiritual. That I do have some beliefs, but yeah, in terms of believing in Yahweh, the God of the Bible, I'm not a believer, and I would bet my life on the fact that he does not exist, that he's a literary character that was made up. That's my opinion. So yeah, no, I do not believe in the Bible. I do appreciate the Bible as a piece of our history. Also, I think it's a literary masterpiece, the Bible itself. But I don't agree with looking at it as the infallible word of God, because it's not infallible. It does have contradictions, and it took me a long time to accept that fact. How has your experience been as a brother in Spanish and English congregations? Did you notice any differences? Um, yeah, I would say the Spanish congregations are more strict, more self-righteous. It's just take in mind that Mexicans and people from Latin America usually come from very strict Catholic backgrounds. So when they convert into Jehovah's Witnesses, they are still carrying that very strict, very self-righteous attitude, and it shows. When I visited the English congregations, and I was in an English congregation for a few months, they're definitely a little more chill, I would say. Um, maybe you listening to this were in an English congregation, and maybe they were asses. But from my experience, they're definitely more chill than the Hispanic congregations. Um, the Spanish speaking brothers were very hospitable, and also the English ones too. So I would just say that their Spanish ones are a little more stuck up. Like they just they're more rule driven for sure. They have more pharisaical for sure, more strict. But both worlds, Spanish and English, it's a harsh reality to be raised in. So yeah, just a slight difference. Next question: during your time as a PME, did you lead a double life ever? Um, no, I really didn't. Like I did. For some time I was. Well, let me talk about this, because I mean, most young men watch porn at some point in their lives, I'm guessing. And I did go to the elders when I started watching that, and eventually I got disciplined for that. Yeah, it was like a reproof. So I did do things that Watchtower condemns, but I was always very honest about it, and I never try to hide it. Even one time I got drunk with my friends, and a couple months later I was still feeling a bit hurt in my conscience. Well, all my friends had forgotten about it, and I went to the elders. They didn't do anything, but yeah, my conscience, I wanted to keep it clean. So no, I never led a double life for sure. It was only on like the month before truly waking up that I was just not caring that much anymore. But I didn't do anything crazy. So yeah, I was a pretty good Jehovah's Witness, I would say, for the time I was a believer. That's for sure. Next question: do you know any music that reminds you of the experience of being an XJW? Um, doesn't come to my mind at the moment. But if you are listening and you do have some music that reminds you of it, please drop it in the comments below. Now, a question from one of my lovely Patreons: how did you learn such excellent natural English? Well, aside from my silly accent, I did go to school since elementary here in America. So yeah, I would say my English and my Spanish are on the same level at this point. But of course, I still have some type of accent, so that's never going away. But thank you. I'm glad my English is not too bad. Next question: what is the best way for us to react if a Jehovah's Witness knocks at the door? Um, well, you don't have to answer the door. If you don't feel like talking, just don't answer. If if you want to if you want them to stop visiting you, you gotta open the door and tell them to put you on the no call list. and be very firm about it, but don't be an asshole unless they've harassed you constantly. But yeah, just tell them that you're not interested, that you don't want to be visited, and if you really want to go away, just tell them you're an apostate. They will not knock on your door again. Also, if you want to make some conversation, if you have a few minutes, first of all, be kind, because JWs have this conception of worldly people that they're gonna be persecuted, that they're gonna be assholes at the door, and there's a lot of people like that actually. So when you are an asshole to them at the door, it just confirms their persecution complex, and it just draws them into the religion more. So just be nice to them, and just speak to them, ask them questions that make them think of their own beliefs, and I will get to that in a little bit later in another question. But yeah, just be kind to them. If you have water, offer them water, so they can see that worldly people are not that bad. Next question: what is the weirdest speech you heard in a congregation? Oh, that's a good question. There was this time that I think it was like a congregation local talks, the local needs talk. And an elder got up into the platform and started reading a letter that said that the organization had been banned in the United States. He was reading it all serious. It was a full-blown letter. And then at the end he said, well, are you ready for when these events actually happen? So yeah, this crazy motherfucker just wrote this letter saying that the work had been banned, and then just kind of like as if like a what if, like this is gonna happen very soon, so you better be ready. It was very silly. I actually believed it for a few minutes until he said that it was a fake. So yeah, it's just very fear-mongery. I did not appreciate that because at the moment I was struggling with my faith. So yeah, that did not do my faith very good, I would say. But well, ultimately, I'm grateful for that show of doomsday paranoia for sure. Next question: why is it okay to have baby showers for the little enemies of God, but not birthday parties? Basically because Watchtower never condemned baby showers. That's it. If Watchtower had in the past cast baby showers as pagan, we wouldn't be celebrating them today. That's it. Next question: if you, Panda, were the only governing body member, what would you do? Very fascinating question. And it could go two ways. Let's divide the question. Okay. If I was governing body member and wanted to like sabotage the organization, like destroy it, I would release the pedophile database, that's for sure. I would order all witnesses to start with the doomsday message. And no, I mean the hailstone message, right? That they've been teasing. The message that, oh, you go out into the streets and you tell people that the end is here. Basically, that's like the final message. I would do that. I would what else? I would keep building stuff until I go bankrupt. So yeah, a lot of self-sabotaging things. That's what I would do. The witnesses would not be able to recover from that, from giving the hailstone message. That would be really hard to recover from. And yeah, just maybe remind them every day that the end is coming very, very soon. That way they grow sick of the message. Now, the question would be something else. If I was a believing governing body member and wanted to quote unquote fix the organization, what would I do? Well, I would not. Let's see. If I was a believer, I would definitely keep shunning the shunning arrangement, because it works, because it keeps families trapped and compliant. So yeah, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a cult leader that wants to keep the organization running. So you keep shunning. I would get rid of the blood doctrine, at least in the way that people are not forced to write the power of attorney. I would get rid of that because that brings you negative media attention. I would destroy my opponents with lawsuits. I would try not to create anything embarrassing that can be leaked, like Pillowgate videos. That's completely stupid. Oh, also one big thing, I would would try not to mention the past publications anymore. I would just completely forget about the era of Rutherford, Russell, mention them as little as possible. That way people don't get curious and start researching about them. So if I was a believing governing body member, that's what I would do to keep the organization alive. But that's just me playing devil's advocate. Next question. Which governing body member has the least amount of sanity? Ooh, that's a tough question. I would say definitely Tony Morris is up there because he probably has PTSD and he kind of really relishes the idea of global destruction. So he's up there. I would say Tony Morris and Stephen Lett. Those two are big loonies. Stephen Lett, especially because of that talk he gave, the homophobic rant he gave. Especially considering his nephew took his life because he was gay. So that just shows you how what kind of a sociopath Stephen Lett actually is. So yeah, he's pretty much up there. I would say those two members. But they're all pretty crazy. They're all batshit insane at this point. Next question. What do you think is the most effective way to witness to JWs? And here by witness, we mean like make them think. Make them use their critical thinking. I speak from personal experience. If you could show them the unreliability of the New World Translation, that takes a lot of work though. That takes a lot of studying and cross-referencing. So the best way to witness to them is to ask them questions. For example, ask them, what do you believe in? You know? What do you believe in? And when they tell you, when they go into full cult mode, you know, when their eyes become glassy and they start repeating the same Watchtower doctrine, you know, stop them and ask them, no, I know what Watchtower believes, but I want to know what you believe. And then when they tell you, you know, oh, well, I believe everything the governing body says, then tell them that, well, it's not really their belief, you know, that doesn't look good on their religion, that someone else is doing the believing for them and that they can't have the liberty to believe something different than the governing body. Maybe that'll make them think a little bit, you know? Show them older publications if you have them. Show them the 1975 prophecy, the 1914 generation teaching. Don't go too far in the past. Don't bring out a copy of Studies in the Scriptures because that's way too old. But maybe something in the era of the 1930s onward, you know, could help. Don't bother if you are a believer watching this. Don't bother showing them John 1:1 or Colossians. What was it? Colossians 1:18. My point is, don't bother showing them questions about the divinity of Jesus or about heaven and hell, because witnesses are already prepared to answer these objections with other Bible verses that support their point of view. So even if you believe that you have the right, quote unquote, right Christian doctrine, I don't think this is the best way to help them wake up, like addressing the doctrine, because the Bible itself is a text that needs to be interpreted, and their interpretation is just as valid as yours. Even if you believe you have the true version of the gospel or whatever, the witnesses think the same thing, and it's just gonna lead you nowhere. So try to avoid doctrinal matters like the Trinity and the afterlife as much as possible. Focus on the reliability of the New World Translation and make them think with hard-hitting questions, especially when it comes to Armageddon. You know, why do you want to see 8 billion people destroyed, or, you know, questions that will make them think. So that's my advice. That's the best thing you can do to JWs if you want to help them wake up. Again, the most important rule, be kind to them. And the last question is, where can I get pandas? Ooh, I think you need to go to China for that, my dear, but I don't think they're gonna let you take one, okay? So you can go look at them. But yeah, that's gonna be a hard animal to get, so you're gonna have to deal with a plushie for this one. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining me in this question and answer video. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time talking about this, just something a little bit more relaxed. I have some more exciting videos coming up next. So yeah, keep in the lookout for that. Thank you so much for 4,000 subscribers. You guys are wonderful. I will see you next time, guys. Take it easy and stay away from the tower.